Blender uses almost every type of control to enter commands and make changes, including drop-down menus, pop-up menus, tabs, chevrons, checkboxes, and fields, where you can change the value by sliding the mouse cursor, incrementally by selecting a chevron, or simply entering a value. However, Blender is really designed to use keyboard shortcuts. This is the fastest way to enter commands and change parameters. That said, it is important to realize that when it comes to keyboard shortcuts, Blender is sensitive to the position of the mouse cursor. For example, hovering the mouse cursor over the 3D editor workspace while selecting the right mouse button brings up the Object Context pop-up menu. But hovering the mouse cursor over the outline workspace while selecting the right mouse button brings up the Outline Context pop-up menu. Here's another example. Hovering the mouse cursor over the 3D editor workspace and selecting the keyboard shortcut the X key brings up the Delete pop-up menu. While hovering the mouse cursor over the Properties workspace and selecting the keyboard shortcut the X key has no response. This can take a little getting used to. If you select a keyboard shortcut and nothing happens, or you don't get the response you were expecting, check to see where the mouse cursor is. Because Blender relies heavily on keyboard shortcuts, Blender comes with several built-in shortcuts. To view some of the built-in keyboard shortcuts, select the File menu in the header. You will see that New, Open, Open Recent, Save, Save As, and Quit already have keyboard shortcuts assigned. Blender also gives you a number of ways to customize keyboard shortcuts. For example, after selecting a menu item with the right mouse button, you can change or even remove a shortcut. If you right mouse button select an item that does not have a keyboard shortcut assigned, you can assign one. You can also add the item to what's known as the Quick Favorites menu. Then, when you select the keyboard shortcut for Quick Favorites, the Q key, you will see the item listed in the pop-up menu. Quick Favorites is intended to be a location where you temporarily store items that you are currently using frequently. Once you have moved on to some other aspect of modeling, you can easily remove the item from the Quick Favorites list by right mouse button selecting it and removing it. Blender lists all of the keyboard shortcuts in the Preferences window under the Keymap tab. For example, if you open the Windows chevron, you will see all of the keyboard shortcuts for Windows. Keyboard shortcuts can be searched either by name or by the shortcut. For example, you can search for Windows New File by selecting Name and typing in New File. Or you can search for the shortcut by selecting Key Binding and typing in Command N. I have added a few custom keyboard shortcuts that I find very useful for creating Trainz assets, and I would like to share them with you in the hopes that you too will find them useful. The first three make it easy to switch between object mode, edit mode, and texture mode, and to know which mode you are in. If you select the mode menu, you will see that these do not have an assignment. Now you can switch between object mode and edit mode with the built-in keyboard shortcut, the Tab key. But without looking in the upper left-hand corner of the 3D editor window, it is sometimes difficult to know which mode you are in. By assigning the object, edit, and texture modes to the F1, F2, and F3 keys respectively, selecting one of these keys ensures that you are in the respective mode. To add the shortcuts, select the Edit menu. Right mouse button select the respective mode and select the appropriate shortcut key, F1, F2, or F3. In Blender 3, the keyboard number keys 1, 2, and 3 are built-in shortcuts for vertex, edge, and face selection modes. This is very convenient for accessing these frequently used functions. It can also be convenient to assign other frequently used functions to the remaining keyboard number keys. In edit mode, I assign the 4 key to the selection box. Note that the selection function has the keyboard shortcut, the W key, assigned to it. But while this key toggles to selection box, it also toggles between selection circle, selection lasso, and a mode called tweak. Assigning the 4 key to selection box ensures that when you select the selection mode, you are selecting the selection box, which I find is a mode I most often want to use. In edit mode, I assign the 5 key to the Move widget. The Move widget provides visible handles you can use to move a mesh along one of the 3D axes. In edit mode, I assign the 6th key to the snap function. The Snap function has an icon button in the header of the 3D Editor window, but it is also convenient to have a shortcut key assigned so you can easily toggle it off. If left on when not needed, it can affect the smooth movement of meshes. In edit mode, I assign the 7 key to the Subdivide function. This is a frequently used function that is found under the Edge menu. Subdivide has an options window that appears in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, or can be accessed with the keyboard shortcut, the F9 key. Here, for example, you can increase the number of subdivisions. In edit mode, I assign the 8 key to Mark Seam. This function is also found under the Edge menu. Mark seams are shown in red. In the edit mode, I assign the 9 key to Clear Seam. This function is just below the Mark Seam item in the Edge menu. Clear Seam removes the red marking. Finally, in edit mode, I assign the 0 key to Merge at Center. The Merge function has its own built-in keyboard shortcut, the M key, that brings up a pop-up menu with several choices. Since I most often want to merge at center, I assign a custom keyboard shortcut, the 0 key, to this option. By default, Blender uses the scroll wheel to zoom, the scroll wheel button to rotate, and the Shift key in combination with the scroll wheel button to pan. While I don't mind using the scroll wheel to zoom, I find using the scroll wheel button to rotate and pan awkward. So I have set rotate to Option plus left mouse button click, and I have set pan to Option plus Command plus left mouse button click. These keyboard shortcuts can be set by opening the Preferences window. To change the keyboard shortcut for Rotate, select the Keymap tab, then Name, and type in Rotate. Under 3D Editor View, open the top entry for Rotate View. Select Alt and Left. To change the keyboard shortcut for Pan, type in Pan. Under 2D View, open the top entry for Pan View. Select Alt, Command, and Left. Scroll down and under 3D View, open the top entry for Pan View. Select Alt, Command, and Left. Save these changes to the Preferences. I also like to set the zoom to Command plus left mouse button. To change the keyboard shortcut for zoom, type in Zoom. Scroll down and under the 3D View, open the top entry for Zoom View. Select Left and Command. Save the changes to the Preferences and close the Preferences window. To pan, select Alt plus Command and drag. To rotate, select Alt and drag. To zoom, select Command and drag. You can add or remove keyboard shortcuts at any time. Changes will be remembered when you close and reopen Blender. Recently, I added X-ray to my keyboard shortcuts. Since Shift plus the Z key toggles wireframe, I set Control plus the Z key to toggle X-ray. Now I don't have to move the mouse to the top of the screen every time I need the X-ray mode. You can deselect all using the built-in keyboard shortcut, the A key followed by the A key. You can also use the built-in keyboard shortcut, the Alt key plus the A key. But for some reason, I prefer Command plus the A key. I think in past versions of Blender, this was the keyboard combination used. So I have changed this keyboard shortcut. For this one, you have to open the Preferences window. You open the Preferences window, select the Keymap tab, select Name, and type in Deselect. Scroll down and under the Object mode, open the second chevron for Deselect All, and change from Alt to Command. Notice that the X on the left has been replaced by a left-facing arrow. This indicates that you have entered a custom keyboard shortcut setting. To set the entry back to its default setting, select the arrow. The arrow will now be replaced by the X, and the setting will now be Alt plus the A key. Once you have your custom keyboard shortcuts entered, you can and should save them as a set. In the Preferences window, select the plus icon. Name the set and export. Store this file in a safe location, should you want or need to reinstall them. At any time, you can also reload the factory preferences. A copy of my customized Keymap is available here.